What do you seek truly, and what are you willing to renounce for it? Is it necessary to leave your home in order to find what is within you?
All right. So those are obviously the questions I brought to you with my own variation as a koan practice during your meditation. This is a Valentine's Day talk. Maybe you never thought you'd hear this kind of Valentine Day talk. Anyone want to say anything about the koan or the reflection from Sandy Butcher?
I appreciate in the reflection that the decision-making process was attended to and drawn out, because the story's very short and it seems like it was a cut and dry thing. She was ready to go either way. So I appreciated that. And full transparency, I just had a practice discussion with Rev Lien about discernment about various things. So I appreciated that especially.
I just wanted to comment that I don't
No, just.
Oh, sorry.
Restate.
I don't believe that it's necessary to leave home. I think being a householder is a huge part of the practice, and it makes it simultaneously safe to practice, but also challenges the practice, because home is where a lot of, as one might say, shit happens. So I say practicing while being at home is critical, at least for me.
How does this relate to Valentine's Day, do you think?
Say that it brings up, in American Hallmark love, it's like love the other. So I like the way the dichotomy is presented. As home is like, not to steal the name of your book, but home is here. Or the question is, or home is where love is, where is that? Is that in ourselves, in another, or can it be many or both or all? So anyway, I like the way it raises that dichotomy or paradox.
Okay, next time, no anyways. We appreciate your summary. I appreciate your summary.
This one hit me really powerfully today, just because I've been thinking a lot about
Because
I've been thinking a lot about belonging lately, and we're trained to look outward for it, and it made me think that, would I truly be satisfied looking outwards, for belonging, or can I find it within myself? And so it got me thinking more inwardly. It was very powerful.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Share anything that came up during the meditation, and it was like, what do you truly seek, or any?
Yeah, that was the first question that popped in my mind, was I am seeking belonging. And in many places that I turn, I'm kind of turned back. I'm kind of sent back. Where? Home. And then I thought about home, and where is home? Is it truly mine? And but I think, and then I thought of the roof over my head and the walls around me, but really I kept going inward and inward, and thinking I need to explore more that realm and finding kind of satisfaction there and contentment there. So
Is the nature of self no kinda? Could you say that again without the kinda?
Sure. The nature of self, maybe with further exploration.
No. What is it that you
I'm
seek?
not there
And
yet.
what is it that you seek that you just said maybe? This is a little bit like, what won't you say, folks? on a certain level, right? What is it you truly want?
Contentment, calm, peace.
Okay.
And it's there. And
here, it's here.
Yeah. yeah, it is. The reason why I'm using that kind of hesitating language is I think I have moments where I touch it, but it's not sustained. And so that's why it doesn't feel permanent yet, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I would say it's never permanent. This is why we cultivate. This is why we access. This is why we try to find way to concretize it, be it in the body or inspirational, reading, talks, connections.
I find it a little unbelievable, and I know it's a story. I find it unbelievable that someone whose partner goes and meets a great teacher and decides to become a monastic and, here's the keys to the kingdom, have fun. I'd be pretty mad. I wouldn't be like, oh, here's the path to wisdom and peace, and I'm ready. That strikes me. And I suspect there's something behind the hiding,
Behind the what?
making the king invisible.
Oh, okay, so what do you think? What do people think that's about? Okay, then first, what do you think that's about? Part of it was said in the reflection to test her. Why the Buddha did it was to test her.
Well, we want to see her honest response, her honest choice, and not to feel obligated to, make the king feel loved or wanted or something. Present.
You think that was the Buddha's concern?
Well, if it's a test, we want to know her honest answer.
Right, but do you think the Buddha is concerned that she's not trying to appease the king? What was the Buddha's concern?
Well, the first I heard it, actually, I was thinking the Buddha wanted to show the king that in truth, she also would choose the path of wisdom. And maybe to help him, maybe to affirm his cutting of his family ties.
Okay. All right. Anyone else about any of this? And what about relationship? This is a story about relationship, is it not?
As you were talking about it, I had a feminist reading because so long ago, a husband and a wife, right? And I feel like Buddha was a feminist, my interpretation, because he hid the man so the woman could just make a decision without all that other stuff that came at that time. That was an interesting. I didn't get that the first time, and that's maybe the piece of the story that I find a little hard. Is this in the commentary? It's about a relationship or not a relationship, and if you don't have a relationship or you don't sacrifice yourself to a relationship, it's better. I feel like there's a lot more possibilities than those two.
And if we're talking about what are you willing to renounce? If it's from that perspective, then what would you say?
Assuming it's a good relationship, which I'm not necessarily sure that the king and the queen had a good relationship. If it was a good relationship, that's a lot to give up, But maybe it's just like one of those, you're the king, you're the queen, play a role, and it's just power. That's a different decision. I can't tell them the story.
Okay.
Which of those it is.
All right.
So my sense of the story is that the king went to meet the great Buddha and he himself found a path there for himself, and he felt compelled to commit to that path. And so he just passed on his kingdom to his beloved wife. And the beloved wife, having realized that the king had found a passion and a commitment, she was curious as to see what this was for herself and decided to go for herself and find out. And she too found that this was a path that she wanted to go on, and that she felt comfortable enough in her relationship with her husband to, let him go on the path his way, and she too will go on the path her way, and that they do love each other. And to me, in a sense, it is kind of a love story.
Okay. Wow. All right. Let me just jump in here for a few things. One is that how we respond to a koan story, any story really, any story from anywhere says a lot about us. Does it not? Because there are so many different things. So what I'm saying is going to reflect me, right? So on one level, we want to look at a koan story, not so much about the content. What is it trying to speak towards about the Dharma? So, and certainly there is the dichotomy of being a monastic versus a householder. And in the Buddha's time, it is a commitment to spiritual practice that people give up their home and go commit fully. Okay, so that's a context. And in most spiritual stories, there's a test of your commitment, isn't there? In most spiritual stories, the hero, heroine, hero person is tested. And what are they tested for? Their commitment. So this is why, and this story to me is very much about what are you willing to renounce. Notice the questions was about renouncing, and the story is really about not the only point, but is about renouncing. I mean, on a certain level, on a feminist slant, you could say, or respond to a feminist slant, you say, wow, he just gave her all the power, right? The king, oh yeah, I'm going over here, I renounce, and you get all the power now. But that didn't faze her at all, right? So in a way, it asks us, what is important here? In this case, in terms of king and whatever, there's a certain amount of power, and he gives all his royal power to you. Enjoy the glory and pleasure. So certainly there's that whole thing, about monastic. And it's important in the Buddhist time, again, that it's about renouncing the pleasures of the world. Because there is, you are called to give up something. In a way, it's really asking, what are you willing to give up for practice? Now, as I proposed to, I don't remember which group on Saturday, what if enlightenment is spiritual practice, but spiritual practice as defined as to live a fully aware life to the point of enlightenment, perhaps? And what if your commitment in this moment, or for your life, actually, for your life, because it can be over in any moment. This is why it just became clearer to me hearing about Norman. In most of Asia, when you're a monastic, they say, are you willing to be enlightened? And it's partly, not just, like how much are you going to practice, but really, is this your commitment to be fully awake? So first we have to say, well, what is fully awake? And on one level, Buddhist practice is about what is it how can I let go of what I keep hanging on to? Especially those outside of me that says, this is what will give me a full life. A better car, a better iPhone, a prestige, a title, whatever it is for you, a partner. How many of us, and part of the reason I chose this is how many of us, what are we willing to give up, so many of us, for our relationships? Especially who we think as our significant other. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I didn't say that. And yet, on a certain level, I know I'm feeling like I have to give up a lot for my relationship, sometimes like a lot, and sometimes I'm willing. And in some ways, yes, we're willing to do that for a relationship. Are we willing to do that for a relationship with ourselves? If the nature of the self is to come home, then are you willing to, what are you willing to give up so that you are home? Which essentially is, are you willing to know the nature of the self? Not the selves you like, not the selves, as a nice picture, even though, that's okay. You can picture yourself up. What if we went around every day and said, this is my commitment to be fully awakened, to be with, I'll define fully awakened for a moment here, to be open and receiving and committed to this moment right here, right now. And the problem, of course, the right now keeps changing. I might be, oh yeah, sure, I'm committed to, you guys all listening to me and agreeing with me. And the next moment, there's a hand and right? Oh no, I'm not committed to that. All right, no, you got it wrong. This is what it's about. This is love. If you love me, or if you understand my love for you, which, in relative life, it's important. I'm not saying it's not, trust me, I'm not saying it's not important. It's important. And where does that sense of importance bring suffering versus not? Where do we hang on to either a sense of home as you are like this in our home, or I'm like this in my home or our home? Right? Which is, at times is important, without a doubt. Is there a way to practice so that we keep seeing what we hold on as needed? I tried to remember the other day, and I couldn't remember over the weekend. Something I decided could be different. It was something really ordinary, and I was like, this is a perfect example of off the cushion reflexive thinking, right? We've been talking about meditation, right? Because there was a moment when my mind just decided, okay, this is possible. I know what it was. Cleaning the bathroom. When I was growing up, my mother woke us up at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning. My sister and I, by the way, my brother, by the time we left home and he was, I guess, of cleaning age, whatever that was, all right, which did seem a lot older than when my sister and I, at one point we were adopted to do the dishes. She would wash and I would dry. We were adopted to, clean, right? 8 o'clock, we were up and we're cleaning the whole house. In Zen, in Soto Zen, the 5th day, why they have a 5-day, that's their week, every 5 day. Then you have a day off, which is only hours, really, especially in Japan, 4 hours only. Anyways, before you can do anything, you clean your room. Cleaning your room is part of practice. We clean every day, of course, the Zendo, right? But cleaning your room is part of day off. And in fact, you need to do it before you can. So cleaning, I was like, good thing I had a German mother. It really set me up for this practice, right? Everything clean and neat and everything, right? That was my take. That's my story. So throughout my life, I fold my towel differently now. ex-girlfriend, my mother used to fold like this. I changed, I fold like that. The toothpaste has changed brand, even though I used to buy Crest all the time because that's what my mother bought, right? So I've really given up for a relationship, mind you, right? Sometimes the toilet paper can go under and I don't get too upset. I just turn it around the way it should be, but I don't get upset anymore. Huh? But I was very busy. Usually these days, when I shave my head, then because I do it in the kitchen over the thing, then I clean the floor. Then because there's lots of little bits of hair, then I clean the whole bathroom. It's been over a week since I shaved my head on the full moon. I haven't cleaned the bathroom. And then the other day I was like, okay, I don't have time to clean the whole bathroom, and I'm helping my partner do a very big project, right? So I just cleaned the tub, and I left everything out to remind myself I gotta clean the toilet and the sink and the floor. And every day I go in there and I see that bottle and just think, oh, I gotta finish cleaning, I gotta finish cleaning. And then the other day I thought, over the weekend I thought, oh, it could be different. Right? At first I thought I was pretty good, to just do one and have the thought of doing, I thought that was pretty flexible already. Not that I've been suffering about this, but it was just like, oh, that's pretty flexible. Then I just kind of thought, what if you don't do it at all? I mean, for me, it was like, oh yeah, that's a shift, because there was no anxiety about it. There was no, oh, I should. Some part of me, my mother's been dead since 95, so how many years is that, right? So nobody's been going, you must clean your bathroom. And if you don't clean the whole bathroom, that's not cleaning the bathroom. But I thought, oh, here, it's these little things, that there was just complete ease. Just a few more days before I'll have to shave again. I'll just wait. It doesn't bother Dad. I'm the only one who cleans the bathroom, right? So it's okay. I'm the only one that has to decide. It's okay. And for me, it was a moment in which I was like, oh, this is a minor enlightenment moment. Because my mind just was like, oh, okay, I'll relax. What I think should be. I have gotten mad at Deb for not cleaning. She never does a chore that I've assigned her here. And in fact, we've decided we can't move in with each other until we can have enough space, because she needs a room to be messy in. And that's the way we're going to be able to, whereas the rest has to have a certain neatness or else I will freak, right? Not continuously, but momentarily several times. Mm-hmm. And we both just accept this as part, to me, it's also Zen practice without a doubt. And it is talked about in Zen. And trust me, in Japan, we cleaned all the time. Because part of it is what your world is what your mind is. Your world, your surrounding reflects yourself. And it's true that's why we decorate a certain way or whatever, right? And in a way, it's that commitment to letting it reflect the self, and the commitment to not suffer for yourself or others as that happens. Be it for another, or be it for yourself, or be it so they can be a us or a we. There's also that dichotomy that we get stuck in. It has to be this or that. For love, for someone else, this is why I'm doing that, or for love, or how much of your fights with your significant other is, if you love me, you would do it like this. Or they say, if you love me, you would do it like this. Or you would say this, or you would buy this, or you would do this, or so much of our, and again, totally, trust me, reasonable, needed to live in peace and harmony as much as possible. And yet, how much? Maybe it's because, I'm as the classically called U-Haul lesbian, but I give up a lot in my relationship. That's my MO. So maybe this is why this thing is, I told you, this is about me, what I'm saying to you. It's always about me, by the way. I just hope that some of me resonates with you. That's what it's about. And it's about you, because I just don't do this. We wouldn't do this. And it's about Norman. It's about us as a Sangha and how we live together. We've given up a lot during the pandemic. Oh, you know, how many of you, when we first started, you're like, on the road chant, you're like, oh, how many of you still go, not the road chant, this is where I mute everything, and I'm just, you know, but we have to be flexible with changing conditions, right? Well, maybe some of you, by the way, you don't have to love it. So on one level, there's something to be said about where, at least in Zen, our sense is, it's not that you shouldn't be upset. There's no shouldn't here. It's not that you shouldn't be upset. And there is a, do you know when you're upset? Because that's part of your fucking true nature. Or certainly it's mine. If you haven't found that out being with me, you will find out. Ha! Huh? It isn't that I have to accommodate everyone or that everyone should accommodate me. It's about the negotiation. You know, again, you might be thinking, she says the same thing every week. Good. Because it is essentially the same thing. Are you willing to commit to being open, receiving, enacting, conveying now and now and now and now and now and now and now? That's the true self, or the true selves, or the true self of you and me and us through time. You know what we dedicate, right? In the 10 direction and the 3 times. Norman is part of our 3 times. Past, present, and future. Are we willing to be open to being sad and distressed that someone we love, however we love them, however we knew them, however they reflected us and how we reflected them, you know? There was some interaction, or just like us now, there's some interaction that we're going to hold from this point on into our lives together in this moment, called Monday night, 7 to 8:30. And next Monday, 7 to 8:30. There's no other self. There's no other nature. So next week, I hope you can show your, well, you're already showing your true self, whether you want to or not. And in some way we practice to receive true selves. I mean, that's in some ways maybe the harder practice. Sometimes it's the close true self, and sometimes it's the far true self. And sometimes it's the interactive true selves. All right, on that, let's dedicate the merit for any merit we accrued tonight.
For any merit
we
accrued tonight.
For any merit we accrued tonight.
We dedicate to Norman,
We dedicate to
Norman,
his loved ones,
his
loved
loved
ones,
which includes us.
which includes
us.
May all of us know love,
may all of
May
us
all of
us know love,
interconnection,
interconnection,
and the true home that's here
and
The
the
true
home
that's
here
in between each of us.
in
and
between
between each of
between
us.
each of us.
This we wish for all beings in the 10 directions and the 3 times.
This we
This
wish.
we wish for all beings in
all
the 10
beings
directions and 3
in the
times.
three times.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's
you.
Day.
Happy Valentine.